Have you ever felt the relentless grip of an obsessive thought? That gnawing feeling, a mental parasite clinging to your consciousness, refusing to let go? It whispers insidious doubts, replays past failures in agonizing detail, or projects anxieties onto the future, painting bleak and improbable scenarios. This isn't mere worry. This is the trap of obsession. It's a prison built not of stone and steel, but of relentless mental activity, a cage constructed from our own thoughts. We all experience fleeting obsessions, a song stuck on repeat, a nagging worry about a missed email, a fleeting image that won't leave your mind. But true obsessive thinking transcends these minor inconveniences. It consumes, it drains, it leaves you feeling depleted and utterly powerless. Imagine the relentless cycle. The obsessive thought arises, you try to push it away, it returns stronger, and the frustration mounts, fueling the very thing you're trying to escape. This is the debilitating nature of the trap. It manifests in countless ways. The compulsive checking of locks, the endless replaying of conversations, searching for hidden meanings, the paralyzing fear of making a mistake, the energy, the creativity, the very life force that could be channeled into something positive, is instead consumed by this relentless internal struggle. You feel trapped, exhausted, and increasingly disconnected from the vibrant richness of life itself. But I tell you now, you are not doomed to remain in this prison. Understanding the mechanics of this mental tyranny, through the lens of Nietzsche's will to power, is the first step toward your liberation. We will explore this powerful concept, and together, we will forge a path to reclaim your agency, to escape the suffocating grip of obsession, and to unleash the immense power that lies dormant within. Many obsessive patterns center around a single person, the one. This isn't merely infatuation. It's a complex psychological projection, a desperate attempt to fill a void within. We build this person up, imbuing them with qualities they may or may not possess, transforming them into a symbol of our unmet needs and desires. This one becomes a canvas onto which we project our fantasies of fulfillment, our longing for validation, our yearning for a sense of wholeness. But this is an illusion. The one is a construct, a shimmering mirage in the desert of our unmet needs. We invest so much energy, so much hope into this fantasy that we fail to see the inherent unsustainability of it all. The very act of placing someone on such a pedestal inevitably leads to disappointment, because no one, no matter how extraordinary, can possibly live up to the weight of our projected desires. This obsession is a self-imposed prison, a gilded cage of our own making. We are trapped not by the other person, but by our own desperate need to find fulfillment externally, rather than cultivating it within ourselves. The intensity of the emotion, the feeling of being consumed, is a testament to the power of this internal void. The pain, the frustration, the sense of incompleteness. These are all signals, desperate cries from a soul yearning for something more. But that more isn't found in another person. It's found within the very depths of our own being, waiting to be unearthed. This understanding, this recognition of the illusion, is the first step towards breaking free from this self-imposed captivity and embracing the true power within, the power to create our own fulfillment, independent of external validation. We will explore how this works, how to transform this yearning into a force for self-creation, and how to cultivate a profound and lasting sense of self-worth. Now, let's introduce a revolutionary concept that will reshape your understanding of obsessive thinking: Nietzsche's will to power. Forget the simplistic interpretations. This isn't about brute force or domination. Instead, picture it as an inherent life force, a fundamental drive towards growth, self-expression, and overcoming challenges. It's the fundamental energy that pushes us to strive, to create, to expand our horizons. It's the engine of our creativity, our ambition, our very existence. Think of it as a fundamental energy of life itself, a deep-seated urge to overcome, to master, to become more than we are. It's not about controlling others. It's about mastering ourselves, about shaping our own destinies. It's the force that drives us to learn, to grow, to conquer our limitations. It's the inherent desire to expand our influence, not necessarily over others, but over ourselves, over our circumstances, over the very limitations of our own being. Now, how does this relate to obsessive thinking? Obsessive behaviors, at their core, are a distorted expression of this will to power. They represent a misguided attempt to exert control, to find a sense of mastery in a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable. The relentless mental activity, the compulsive behaviors, these are desperate, albeit misdirected, attempts to assert control over inner turmoil. The energy consumed by these patterns could be channeled into something far more constructive, far more fulfilling. It's a misapplication of this vital life force. Instead of using the will to power to create, to innovate, to overcome genuine challenges, it's being squandered on a futile struggle against internal demons. Understanding this misdirection is crucial. By reframing obsessive thinking as a distorted expression of this fundamental life force, we can begin to harness its power for self-improvement, redirecting its energy from destructive patterns toward constructive growth. We'll explore how to achieve this transformation, how to channel the raw, potent energy of the will to power into a force for self-mastery and genuine fulfillment. This is a key to unlocking your true potential, to escaping the suffocating grip of obsession, and to living a life of purpose and authentic power. Let's delve deeper into the dynamics of obsessive thinking. We've established that it's a misapplication of the will to power, a misguided attempt to exert control. But what exactly are we trying to control? The answer is multifaceted, revealing a complex interplay of external and internal forces. On the surface, the obsession often targets an external object, a person, a task, an idea. We strive to possess, to understand, to dominate this external object, believing that mastery over will somehow bring us inner peace. But this is a delusion. True mastery lies not in controlling the external world, but in mastering our own internal landscape. The obsessive mind seeks to dominate not only the external object, but also its own internal experience. The relentless focus, the compulsive behaviors, are attempts to suppress unwanted thoughts, feelings, and anxieties. This is a battle for internal dominance, a desperate struggle to control the flow of consciousness itself. It's an attempt to silence the inner critic, to quell the rising tide of uncertainty, to impose order on the inherent chaos of the human experience. This desire for control extends to the very sense of self. Obsessive thinking often reflects a profound insecurity, a deep-seated fear of losing control, not just external circumstances, but of one's identity. The obsession becomes a shield, a way of defining oneself, of finding a sense of stability in a world that feels inherently unstable. It's a desperate attempt to create a rigid structure, a fixed point of reference in the ever-shifting sands of existence. But this rigid control is ultimately self-defeating, a prison of our own making. The true path to mastery lies not in domination, but in acceptance, in embracing the inherent fluidity and uncertainty of life itself. We will explore this path towards self-acceptance and discover how to channel the powerful energy of the will to power into a force for genuine self-mastery, leading to a life of authenticity and freedom. At the heart of obsessive thinking lies a deep-seated hunger, a hunger not for food or possessions, but for validation, for a sense of self-worth. This is what we might call ego hunger, a relentless craving for external approval, a desperate need to fill a void within. This void stems from a fundamental insecurity, a deep-seated fear of vulnerability, and profound lack of self-acceptance. The need for control becomes a compensatory mechanism, a desperate attempt to create a sense of order and stability in the face of inner turmoil. Obsessive behaviors offer a false sense of mastery, a temporary illusion of control over a life that often feels chaotic and unpredictable. The relentless focus, the compulsive actions, these are all desperate attempts to soothe the anxieties that stem from this profound insecurity. This ego hunger is often fueled by past experiences, by wounds that haven't healed, by unmet needs from childhood or from significant relationships. It manifests in different ways for different individuals, but the underlying dynamic is often the same, a desperate attempt to validate oneself through external means, rather than cultivating a genuine sense of self-worth from within. The irony, of course, is that this relentless pursuit of control ultimately undermines the very sense of self it seeks to protect. The constant struggle, the endless striving, only exacerbates the underlying anxiety and insecurity. True liberation lies not in the pursuit of external validation, but in a profound act of self-acceptance, in embracing the inherent vulnerability of the human condition. We will now explore the path towards self-acceptance and uncover how to transform this ego hunger into a force for genuine self-love and self-compassion, paving the way for a life of authentic freedom and fulfillment. This is the beginning of a journey towards real power, a power that comes not from control, but from inner peace. The irony of obsessive thinking is stark. The very act of seeking control ultimately leads to its loss. The more we try to grasp, the more we find ourselves slipping through our fingers. The relentless pursuit of control over thoughts, feelings, and external circumstances creates a paradoxical situation. A desperate attempt to create order ends up generating chaos. The obsessive mind, trapped in its own self-created prison, becomes increasingly reactive, a slave to its own impulses. The very thing it seeks to dominate, its own internal experience, dominates it. Instead of finding peace, it finds itself increasingly agitated, restless, and consumed by anxiety. The attempt to control the uncontrollable, to impose order on the inherent randomness of life, backfires spectacularly. The energy expended in this futile struggle could be used for something far more productive, far more fulfilling. Instead of trying to force a rigid structure onto life's unpredictable currents, we could learn to navigate them with grace and resilience. Instead of clinging desperately to illusions of control, we could embrace the inherent uncertainty, the inherent fluidity of existence. This isn't about surrendering to chaos. It's about accepting it as a fundamental aspect of life. It's about finding a way to navigate the unpredictable waters, not by trying to dam them, but by learning to swim. It's about embracing the unknown, about trusting in our ability to adapt and overcome. This realization, this acceptance of the inherent limitations of control, is the first step towards genuine freedom. We'll explore how to move beyond this futile struggle, how to transform reactive patterns into proactive choices, and how to embrace the inherent uncertainty of life as a source of growth and empowerment. This is the path towards a life lived authentically, not by clinging to the illusion of control, but by embracing the power of self-acceptance and self-mastery. The energy consumed by obsessive thinking is immense, a potent force that, when misdirected, becomes self-destructive. But this energy itself isn't inherently negative. It's a manifestation of the will to power, that fundamental life force driving us towards growth and self-expression. The key lies in redirecting this energy, in transmuting its destructive potential into a force for positive change. This is the essence of sublimation. Sublimation, in this context, is the process of channeling the intense energy bound up in obsessive patterns into constructive activities. Instead of focusing on the object of obsession, we redirect the energy towards personal growth, towards self-improvement. This isn't about suppressing the feelings. It's about transforming them, about finding a healthy outlet for the intense emotions driving the obsessive behavior. Imagine the raw power of your obsession, that relentless energy. Now focus on mastering a new skill, on pursuing creative passion, on developing a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. Picture yourself channeling that energy into physical fitness, into intellectual pursuits, into acts of service that benefit others. This transformation is not merely a shift in focus. It's a profound act of self-creation. This is not about escaping the feelings. It's about transforming them. It's about acknowledging the underlying needs and desires driving the obsessive behavior and finding healthier ways to meet them. This process of self-development empowers you to take control of your life, not through rigid control and domination, but through conscious choice and self-directed action. We will delve into practical strategies for achieving this transformation, for harnessing the power of sublimation to create a life of purpose, fulfillment, and lasting freedom from the grip of obsessive thinking. This is a path to true self-mastery, the path to unlocking the full potential of your will to power. The will to power, as Nietzsche envisioned it, is not about dominating others or controlling external circumstances. It's about self-overcoming, about pushing the boundaries of one's own potential. Obsessive thinking, in its misdirected form, represents a perversion of this fundamental life force. It's a desperate attempt to control the uncontrollable, to impose order on the inherent chaos of existence. But true power lies not in control, but in creation. When we redirect a will to power, we channel its immense energy into constructive pursuits, into activities that foster growth and self-expression. This could be anything from artistic endeavors to athletic achievements, from intellectual pursuits to acts of service. The key is to find activities that genuinely engage us, that tap into our deepest passions and desires. This redirection isn't simply about finding a distraction. It's about aligning our actions with our deepest values and aspirations. It's about creating a life that reflects our unique strengths and talents, a life that is authentically our own. This is a path to genuine empowerment, a path that leads not to a fragile sense of control, but to a deep and abiding sense of self-worth. This process of self-discovery and self-creation is inherently liberating. It allows us to move beyond the limitations of our obsessive patterns, to break free from the self-imposed prison of our own making. It's about reclaiming our agency, about taking control of our lives, not through futile attempts at external domination, but through the conscious cultivation of our inner strength and potential. We'll explore practical strategies for identifying your unique strengths and passions, and learn how to turn them into powerful forces for positive change. This is a path to unlocking the transformative power of the will to power, leading to a life of purpose, passion, and lasting freedom. The obsessive mind is often a battlefield of negative self-talk, a relentless barrage of criticism and self-doubt. These negative thought patterns, if left unchecked, reinforce the cycle of obsession, perpetuating the very insecurity they seek to alleviate. But what if we could transform this internal landscape? What if we could replace self-criticism with self-compassion, self-doubt with self-acceptance? This is the essence of emotional alchemy, the conscious transformation of negative thought patterns into positive, empowering beliefs. It's not about ignoring or suppressing negative thoughts. It's about actively challenging them, about reframing them in a more constructive light. This involves developing a mindful awareness of your inner dialogue, identifying the negative thought patterns that fuel your obsessions, and consciously replacing them with more balanced and compassionate perspectives. This isn't a passive process. It requires active engagement, a conscious effort to interrupt the negative self-talk and replace it with self-affirmations, with positive self-statements. It involves cultivating a sense of self-compassion, treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a close friend struggling with similar challenges. This process of conscious reframing is not about denying your negative emotions. It's about acknowledging them without judgment and finding more constructive ways of relating to them. It's about recognizing that your thoughts are not facts, that they are simply interpretations of reality, and that you have the power to choose a different perspective. We will explore practical techniques for reframing negative thoughts, for cultivating self-compassion, and for breaking the cycle of self-criticism that perpetuates obsessive thinking. This is the path to emotional liberation, the path to reclaiming your inner peace and fostering genuine self-acceptance. The path to freedom from obsessive thinking begins with a profound act of self-acceptance. It's a journey into the depths of your own being, a confrontation with the parts of yourself you may have abandoned, rejected, or suppressed. These neglected aspects often manifest as the very anxieties and insecurities that fuel the obsessive cycle. They are the shadows that haunt the edges of your consciousness, whispering doubts and fueling fears. The obsession, in a way, is a desperate attempt to control or escape these rejected parts of yourself. It's a symptom of an underlying conflict, a dissonance between the idealized self you project to the world and the authentic self you may have denied. True freedom comes not from suppressing these aspects, but from integrating them, from embracing the totality of your being, shadows and all. This process of integration is not about self-indulgence or self-pity. It's about self-compassion, about acknowledging your vulnerabilities and imperfections without judgment. It's about recognizing that your flaws and imperfections are not weaknesses, but integral parts of your unique humanity. This means confronting the underlying insecurities that drive the obsessive behavior, understanding their origins, and actively challenging the negative beliefs that sustain them. By embracing these rejected aspects, by integrating them into your conscious awareness, you dismantle the very foundation of your obsessive thinking. The energy previously consumed by self-criticism and self-doubt can now be channeled into self-acceptance, into a profound sense of self-worth that transcends the need for external validation. This is a heart of emotional liberation, the courageous act of accepting yourself completely and unconditionally. This acceptance is not a passive resignation, but a powerful affirmation of your inherent worthiness, paving the way for a life lived authentically and without the chains of obsessive thinking. The obsession often acts as a mirror, reflecting back unresolved internal conflicts, unmet needs, and deep-seated insecurities. It's a distorted image, certainly, but one that holds valuable clues to understanding the root causes of your struggle. Instead of fighting the reflection, we must turn and face the source. Ask yourself, what unmet needs are being projected onto the object of my obsession? Is it a yearning for connection, for validation, for security, or for control? What fears or insecurities are being amplified and reflected back in this obsessive pattern? Is it a fear of abandonment, a fear of failure, or a fear of being unseen? These are critical questions that require honest self-reflection. Journaling can be a powerful tool in this process. Write about your obsessions, not to analyze them clinically, but to explore the emotions they evoke. What feelings arise when you think about the object of your obsession? What anxieties, what desires, what unmet needs are surfacing? The answers may surprise you, revealing hidden patterns and long-suppressed emotions. By confronting these mirrored aspects of yourself, you begin to unravel the tangled web of beliefs and anxieties that fuel your obsessions. You start to see the connection between your internal world and the external manifestations of your anxieties. This self-awareness is not a destination, but a continuous journey of self-discovery, a process of unraveling the complexities of your inner landscape to unearth the hidden wisdom within. This understanding is a first step towards transforming your relationship with your obsessions, shifting from a place of struggle to a place of self-compassion and self-acceptance. The journey from obsessive fixation to liberated selfhood is not a linear path. It's a process of continuous growth and self-discovery. It's a courageous exploration of your inner landscape, a confrontation with your shadows, and a celebration of your strengths. It's about reclaiming your agency, recognizing your inherent power to shape your thoughts, emotions, and ultimately your life. Remember the intense energy bound up in your obsessions? That same energy, once redirected, becomes a powerful force for positive change, fueling your creativity, your passions, and your growth. This is the true meaning of harnessing the will to power, not through domination, but through self-mastery. It's about transforming the energy of anxiety into the energy of creation. The path to freedom involves embracing vulnerability, accepting your imperfections, and recognizing your inherent worthiness. It's about cultivating self-compassion, replacing self-criticism with self-acceptance, and building a life that reflects your authentic self. This is a journey of self-empowerment, a process of becoming the author of your own story, rather than being trapped by the script of your obsessions. It's about stepping into your power, not through control, but through understanding, acceptance, and a courageous cultivation of your own unique potential. This transformation is not about erasing the past, but about integrating it, learning from it, and using it as a springboard for growth. The scars of past struggles can become badges of honor, testament to your resilience and your capacity for self-transformation. Embrace the journey, trust the process, and know that the path to freedom is paved with self-discovery and empowered self-expression. The journey we've undertaken together reveals a profound truth. The power to overcome obsessive thinking resides not in suppressing your thoughts, but in understanding and harnessing the very force that drives them, your will to power. This isn't about dominating others or controlling your environment. It's about self-mastery, about channeling your intense energy into creation, into self-expression, into becoming the architect of your own life. You have within you a wellspring of untapped potential, a creative force waiting to be unleashed. The obsessive mind, while seemingly debilitating, is a testament to the intensity of this force. By understanding its origins, by confronting your insecurities and unmet needs, you reclaim this powerful energy and redirect it towards self-actualization, toward a life lived authentically and on your own terms. This is not a passive process. It requires active participation, a conscious commitment to self-discovery, self-acceptance, and self-compassion. It requires courage to confront your shadows, to embrace your vulnerabilities, and to challenge the limiting beliefs that hold you captive. But the rewards are immeasurable. A life characterized by freedom, fulfillment, and a deep sense of self-worth. Embrace your will to power. Recognize it as the driving force of your life, the engine of your creativity, the source of your strength. Channel this energy into self-creation, into building a life that reflects your values, your passions, and your unique potential. Step into your power, not as a conqueror, but as a creator, and experience a profound liberation that comes from living authentically, from embracing the totality of your being, and from becoming the master of your own destiny. The power to transform your life lies within you. Claim it.